This video will walk you through the application process for the 2016 Healthy Families New York grant opportunity offered by the New York State Office of Children and Family Services. We will start by browsing the opportunity in the Grant Opportunity portal on the Grants Gateway. Please note that browsing the opportunity and locating it on the portal will not allow you to apply for the grant opportunity. You must first log in to apply, but we will first search for it to show you what the opportunity looks like. You can access the Grant Opportunity portal by going to grantsgateway.ny.gov. You'll notice on this page it says the Grant Opportunity portal home page, and from here we can browse and search for grant opportunities. I will click on Search Now to locate the Healthy Families opportunity. You can search by the words Healthy Families and even narrow it down to OCFS if you would like. Click the search button and you will find every opportunity that matches those results. In our case, this is the opportunity we would like to click on, the OCFS Healthy Families NY 2016, which is currently available. It is available for governmental, not-for-profit, and tribal organizations to apply for. The opportunity was posted on June 3rd, and the due date is July 8th. So if we click on the link here, we will find a little bit more about this opportunity. Each opportunity has a unique ID number. In this case, it is CFS 01 HFNY 16-2016. If you start an application, your application number will be this, plus a 5-digit number after it. We can see it is offered by OCFS. The name of it again, the contact name, and an email address to contact if you have questions about the opportunity. Below that is a few paragraphs in the solicitation profile. On the right you will find a little more information. The award date is anticipated to be August 1st. Contracts are 12 months. There is $1 million of funding available. A letter of intent is not required. Questions about this opportunity are due to this email address on June 10th. And answers will be uploaded here by June 17th. Please ignore the 12 a.m. It will happen sometime during the day on June 17th. We can see that again the eligible applicants are listed here, the target populations that this grant opportunity is for, and the service areas. Notice here we can view the grant opportunity, and if you click on that, it will open up the RFP for this grant opportunity. You can see this opportunity RFP is 65 pages. It is important that you look through it and read it and understand it. There's a lot of information in here and a lot of information that will be important once you go into applying for your grant. So if we want to apply for the grant, you'll notice we don't have an option here to do anything but view it. Again, that is because we are not logged into the system yet. To log into the system, you click on the Grants Gateway Login button and use your username and password provided to you by your system administrator or by the Grants Gateway system. Remember, only a grantee or a grantee contract signatory or a grantee system administrator can actually apply for this grant opportunity or any grant opportunity. In this example, I will log in as a grantee user, so somebody in the role of grantee, and this person can start an application and save an application, but cannot submit it to the state agency. The only person that can submit it is a grantee contract signatory or a grantee system administrator. We will allow that person to sign in later and submit our application. So I've logged in as a test user for an example not-for-profit organization, and you can see I'm in the role of grantee. On this page I have a few options. I can search the grant opportunity portal, which we were just at. I could search for applications, contracts, progress reports, or tasks that are already assigned to my organization. In my example, I don't have any yet. There are links to training materials, which include videos and manuals. There is a link to my organization information, my personal profile, where I could change my password, or I could log out. One note about the organization is that it is important that your organization is pre-qualified before you submit your application. That is beyond the realm of this video, But please do visit the Grants Reform website at grantsreform.ny.gov or talk to your grantee delegated administrator or call the Grants Gateway Help Desk for information about pre-qualification. Again, your organization must be pre-qualified when this application is due. You can see we have a few other options on this page. This blue bar will become useful as we get into our application. We also have the View Available Opportunities link and My Inbox. You can ignore your inbox. This would be a copy of any messages that our system has sent to your email. What we want to do here is click on our View Opportunities button to again locate the Healthy Families New York application. I will click on View Opportunities to view a list of available opportunities, but I will search for the words Healthy Families and locate Healthy Families NY 2016. Again, this is the same opportunity that we saw in the Grant Opportunity Portal. By doing it this way, searching from the home page on the View Opportunities tab, it will allow us to actually apply for it. So click on the name of the grant opportunity. This looks exactly like what we saw in the portal, except for we have a button here that allows us to now start our application. Click on Apply for Grant Opportunity and it will create our application. You can see in this case I am application number 25, which means I am the 25th person to start an application for this opportunity. Also notice that there are a few other options here. We have the menu, forms menu, status changes, management tools, and progress reports and related documents buttons. Menu will bring you back to this application main page. Forms menu is where you'll be actually filling out the forms that create your application. So we'll look at that in a minute. Status changes will let us submit our application later. Management tools will allow us to add people to this application if we would like it to become a task for other users at our organization. And you can ignore progress reports and related documents. If this application becomes a contract that is awarded to you, you would be able to work in the system in that. Notice that this detail button allows us to open and close this little extra information box. Again, the name of our opportunity, the name of my organization, my current role logged into the system, and the current status of this application. It is right now in the status of application in process. And a reminder that this is due on July 8th at 3 p.m. If I was to submit this application after 3 p.m. on June 8th, it would not be accepted and the system would automatically reject my application. So the first thing to do is click on the Forms menu, and you'll be working through the Forms menu to fill out this application. It starts with the contract document properties. If we click on it, this is simply links to the attachment A1, which is the program-specific terms and conditions, which you see I can click on View File to view, and any other additional documents that would become part of a contract if you were to be awarded a contract. We can see in this case there are nothing. We can also notice that there is not a budget or work plan in this. This is because OCFS will not be using the Grants Gateway system for their contracting. They will be using CMS, their contract management system. So you can ignore the contract document properties page in the Forms menu. You will start your application here in the project site addresses. Notice this section up here, print application. Later on we can view it and make sure everything looks good. Full version of the RFP, again this is a link to the RFP. And application versions, once we submit our application, we'll be able to see a PDF of our entire application. So you can see there are only these three sections that you need to fill out for your application. Your project site addresses, your program-specific questions, your pre-submission uploads, and there's a place here to save any other documents in the Grantee document folder. While there are only three sections here, it is important to understand that there are a lot of questions you need to fill out and there is a full budget you must fill out that will certainly take some time. Let's start by clicking on Project Site Addresses. And this is simply asking you for the location of your project. Where is this project run out of? You can see I'm working out of Sample Project Office on 123 Main Street in Albany, New York. You have to select the county, put in your zip code. You'll notice that the application asks you for your regional council, and your agency-specific region is an NA option. So you must select the regional council. This is the list of the state's regional economic councils set up by the governor's office. If you're unfamiliar with this, you can visit regionalcouncils.ny.gov to find information about it and about your region. So select the appropriate region. And again, you do not have to answer the agency-specific region. There are no options here. So once we have filled out this page, hit the Save button. The Save button will be on the top of your page in the blue bar. You'll notice it turns to processing while it's saving and has now saved this page. You'll notice also that the blue bar now has a few other options. We have Add, Delete, Add Note, and Check Global Errors. Add would allow me to add a second address. If your program has several buildings or several offices that it covers, you may wish to click on Add to add a second address. You could delete an entire address, and you can ignore Add Note and Check Global Errors for now. If I would like to add a second address, I can click on this, fill that out as well, and hit Save. Notice now that I have entered in two addresses, I have a toggle that allows me to go back to the original and edit, save, or delete that if I need to. It may not be required that you have more than one address, but this was just to show you that the option is available. Okay, so we have finished our project site addresses. We will return to the Forms menu to answer the program-specific questions. Notice, however, I could hover over the Forms menu to click on it, or I can simply click on Forms menu and go back to the Program Information section, and again, access program-specific questions. And you'll see that there's a number of questions here. They are labeled in sections 1 through 9. Some sections have multiple questions. The purpose of this video is not to show you how to answer those questions, what kind of content to put in them, but how to physically fill out the application. The first thing you must do is fill out your project title. I've filled out my title, and next you will fill out your answers to the questions. We'll start with the organizational experience section, which is worth 5 points. What this means is that once your application is submitted, it will be reviewed, and the whole section will be worth 5 points. You'll notice that a lot of these fields have room for many characters, 4,000 characters here. The first question, what resources, experience, and capacity does the organization have to achieve the intended outcomes? So here you will explain how your organization can achieve these outcomes, the intended outcomes of the RFA, which you have read already. We strongly suggest that you read these questions ahead of time and fill out your answers in an external document such as Microsoft Word. Then you can refine your answers, spell check them, and paste the answers into these boxes. So in my example, I'm just showing you how this works by putting in your answers, and you can see as I type, it counts down the number of characters I've used. You can see how many characters you have left. So you have to stick within the 4,000 character limit for your answers. Another reason why it's helpful to use Microsoft Word is that it's hard to see your entire answer if it's very long because there's only 3 lines shown. So please do use an external document and then finally copy and paste your answers into these fields. I will answer 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, and 1F. And you'll notice that these questions have asterisks next to them. Notice the red asterisk at the end of each line. That is because they are required questions, and your application will not be allowed to be submitted unless you answer all of the required questions. So if I was to hit save right now, which I will, I'm going to save this page, save the first few answers that I've put in, but realize that I've missed a whole bunch of questions, 2 through 9, and the system will not allow me to submit this application until I've taken care of that. So I do need to come back and fill these out. But this is a good example to show you that if you would like to log out and come back at a later time or another day, certainly before the due date, you now have the ability to pick up where you left off. If I was to log out and log back in and go to my home page, I can see that I now have a third option here. Whereas before I applied or I started my application by clicking on View Opportunities, I now have a task option. And I have one new task, and by clicking on Open Tasks, I can see that this is the application that I started, HFNY 16, application number 25. By clicking on it, I'll be brought back to the main page. I can go back to the Forms menu and pick up where I left off. Notice there's an error message here because of course we have several unanswered questions in our program-specific questions section. So I will click on that and continue to answer my questions. Community and target population, objectives, task and performance. Notice we have a yes/no type of question on 3F. Again, you will be referring to the RFP for a lot of the information regarding these questions. Section 4 is staff. Section 5 is project description. Section 6 is community collaboration. Section 7 is your budget. Now, it is important to understand the question here. Have you completed and attached the budget forms according to the guidelines in the RFP? So we want you to answer yes here. However, in my case, I have not done this yet. So I'm going to stop here at question 7, and I won't answer 7, 8, or 9 yet. So I will hit save, and I've now saved questions 1 through 6 and all the subsections. And I realize that question 7 requires a response. So let's go back and read question 7. Have you completed and attached the budget forms according to the guidelines in the RFP? I have not. Where can I find the budget forms? They are in our Forms menu as well. If we go back to the Forms menu and click on Pre-Submission Uploads, you will see there is one document here provided for us, and of course that is the budget form. So the document template is where the form is. When I click on this, I'll be able to download the PDF budget form that I can fill out. Here's what that form looks like. It is a 13-page PDF with a cover page and then 12 pages of content that I must fill out. You don't have to use all 12 pages and all lines on all 12 pages, but it gives you room to fill out all the categories that you need to complete your budget. Again, the purpose of this video is not to show you how to fill out or answer the questions, but how to actually add them into the Grants Gateway. So you will fill out the fields here accordingly for your project. But at the end, you will have a totaled cost for personnel, fringe, total personal services, and all the other categories through here, travel, equipment, and so on. So for the sake of this video, we will pretend that I have filled this document out and saved it, and I will now be able to attach it to my Grants Gateway application. Moving back to the Grants Gateway and back to the pre-submission uploads, you'll notice that attachment 1 does say download and complete, which we have done, and now attach your completed budget form here. So I will click on Browse and go locate my budget form that I have filled out and hit Save. Clicking Save will now attach that and make that form part of my application. One thing to note here is that now we have a link that says View File that I can click on and verify that the file I intended to attach really is there. Please do make sure you do that. We want to make sure that you've actually attached the correct document and not, for example, a blank document. In my example, yes, that is the correct document. I can move back to my Forms menu. So again, my budget form has been attached here by virtue of seeing this link, View File. Next, I will click back on the Forms menu and continue with the questions that I have not yet answered. Back to program-specific questions. Again, I need 7A, and I did not do 8 or 9 yet. So 7A asks me, have you completed and attached the budget forms according to the guidelines in the RFP? This you can simply type yes. Question 8 is about pre-qualification. It's basically asking you, have you verified that your organization is pre-qualified and will be pre-qualified by the due date and time of this grant opportunity? We hope the answer is yes. We want to make sure that you have verified that, because if you are not pre-qualified and you are a not-for-profit, you will be disqualified for this grant opportunity. The last option, question number 9, says, did you include the recommended letters of support as referenced on page 16 of the RFP? On page 16 of the 65-page RFP, this paragraph states, OCFS strongly encourages each applicant to include letters of support and participation from community partners, including at least one birthing hospital, WIC, and at least one prenatal clinic, stating that they will participate in the screening and referral of families to the HFNY program. Once you have those letters of support, you include them in your application before you submit your application. So those letters of support can be uploaded, as question number 9 states, to the Grantee document folder. So let's go back to the Forms menu and to the last option, which is the Grantee document folder. And here it is a free-form document upload option. I can give each item a description. I can browse and locate the document. In my case, I will find simply a sample document. You do not have to enter in comments, and you can click on the Save button. Now that I have added one letter of support, if I would like to add an additional, I can click on the Add button. And again, fill out the required information, the name, and locate my attachment, and hit Save. Once I have saved my document, I now have a drop-down to see all the documents I've attached. Again, I could click on Add and add additional documents. So I have now satisfied that last question, question number 9 in the program-specific questions. So back on the Forms menu and in the program-specific questions, I can answer those questions that I've missed. Yes, I have attached my budget forms. Yes, I have verified that my organization is pre-qualified. And yes, I have attached recommended letters of support. By clicking on Save, I will satisfy those requirements, and I have now completed my program-specific questions. You will notice there is no error message anymore, and I get the green light that says the information has been saved. I can now return to the Forms menu and note that every item has been completed. I can see some information here. I can see who started to save this page and who last saved it. I can also see that there are 2 documents here and there are 2 addresses here. I feel I am ready to submit my application, but I would like to preview it first. I can simply go back to these pages and review my questions and answers, or I can click on Print Application, which will pop up a new page allowing me to view this application in a linear format. I can hit Cancel because I don't actually want to print it, but I would like to scroll through and see my answers. Mine will be very short because my answers are very short. Yours may be much longer. So again, it starts with our addresses, and remember I had 2 addresses. There's my Albany and my Troy address. And then the answer to my questions. When we scroll down to 7, 8, and 9, remember we had the yes, yes, and yes there. And then our pre-submission uploads. Now notice the upload is not actually here. Neither are the letters of support that we added in our Grantee document folder, but it does tell us that there was a document attached. So again, you'll want to verify those attachments in the pre-submission uploads and the Grantee document folder by clicking on the View File link for each attachment. Please make sure you have attached what you really intended to attach. In my case, I've completed the review, but you'll remember I am not logged in the type of user that can actually submit my application. In this example, I am logged in as a grantee. We could have done all of this as the grantee contract signatory or a grantee system administrator, but in this example I have filled out my application as the grantee. So this person cannot go to status change and submit their application. The person that I want to submit it is the grantee contract signatory, and I can go to Management Tools and Add Edit People to find that person in the list of our users to allow that person to have a task on their home page for this application. So I have found their name. They are the grantee contract signatory, and I can hit Save. And if they log in now, they will see a new task on their home page. So I'm going to log out and log in as that second user. So I have logged out from the grantee role, and I've logged in now as the grantee contract signatory. And as I mentioned, you will see that I have one new task. If I click on Open Tasks, you can see this is the application that we've been working on, application number 25. I can click on it and work through the Forms menu, make any changes that I need to, print the application to preview it. You can see I can go in and go to program-specific questions and actually save over some of the answers. If you would like to update or edit some of the answers that your coworker has filled out. Or I can simply submit this application, signing off on it. Before I do that, I want to point out one other way of locating your application. In this example, I was given it as a task, so it was very easy to find. But you can still search for applications clicking on the Applications link on the top of the page. If I click on Applications and search for keywords, or leave it blank, we'll search for all applications in your organization's name, and hit the search button, I'll be presented with results that match those search criteria. And of course, in our case, we only had one, application number 25. I can access it that way as well. So I am now ready to submit my application, and you can do that by hovering over the status change option and click on the Apply Status button for Application Submitted. As you can see here, I could also cancel my application, but of course I want to actually submit my application instead. If we click on that button, it gives us an agreement that says basically you are who you say you are allowed to submit an application on behalf of your organization, and you have not given your password or username to another user. I click on I agree, and it will now save and submit my application to the Grants Gateway and OCFS. So how do I know that my application has successfully been submitted? There are a few ways to check. First of all, remember I had this as a task. It is no longer a task for me. If I go back to my home page, there are no tasks. That's one way of knowing. I'm going to now search for that application, and I can see that the status of it has changed. Remember before it was in Application in Process. It is now in the status of Assignment of Reviewers. So let's click on that application. A third way of knowing is that you will receive an email from the Grants Gateway system letting you know that you have successfully submitted your application, and it will give you the application number as well. About 5 minutes after your application has been submitted, you will see a link to a PDF in the Application Versions section. I can tell right now that the application version has not yet been created because there's no created by date. If I was to click on this, I can see that there's no link here. But give it a few minutes and a file link will be here, a PDF complete with all of your attachments for your application. Okay, a few minutes has passed, and I can go back to the Forms menu and Application Versions, and I can see that I do have now a link to the PDF application that I have submitted. I click on that link and I have a PDF that I can open and save if I would like, and this is my entire application. In my case, it's only 27 pages. Yours may be longer if you have several letters of commitment. It starts off with a cover page showing my organization name and my application number, the title of my application, and the time and date that it was submitted. Because OCFS is not using the built-in budget information from the Grants Gateway, the amount requested will always show 0. Remember, you filled out your budget in an Excel spreadsheet, not in a form on the Grants Gateway. The second page shows who submitted it and when. Again, 332 on my test date here of June 16th. And starting on page 3 is the actual answers that you've provided. We start off with our addresses. Here are our 2 addresses that I filled out. We continue with the program-specific questions and each answer. And you'll remember that we had some attachments as well. After our program-specific questions, there will be a budget form, but please ignore this. The budget form, again, is the standard budget used in the Grants Gateway. OCFS does not use that budget. However, the way the application PDFs come out, it does show it anyway. So it will all show blank. Remember, your budget will be found at the end of this document in the form of the Excel document you have provided. Same thing for the work plan. Again, OCFS does not use the built-in work plan functionality in the Grants Gateway. So the work plan page will be here, but it will be blank. So skip those pages and you'll move on to your attachment. In my example, I have a blank document here that I've provided. This would be a letter of support or my budget that I've attached. So here's one attachment. Here's a second attachment. And finally, my budget is the last document here. And I can see if I did it correctly, I would actually have numbers and details here. Again, in our example, we did not fill anything out. We left it blank. And that should be the end of the documents. If we go down here, we can see there are no other documents, no other pages in my 27-page PDF application. So to wrap this up, what we did was we logged in as the appropriate type of user. We started our application and we went through the Forms menu, filling out the required fields. We attached our budget, we attached our letters of support, and we submitted our application. And after a few minutes, we were able to see the application PDF here in application versions. So please contact OCFS if you have any questions about the actual RFP, and feel free to contact the Grants Gateway Help Desk for any questions about pre-qualification, filling out your application, user roles, and working in the Grants Gateway. Good luck with your applications.